Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea, and this is a companion video. What are companion videos? Well, I'm awfully glad that you asked. To see every day on the John Campea Show, we take time to take live questions, but quite often we don't have time to get around to all the live questions that get sent in. But I want to make sure those questions get answered properly in a video, so I gather them up and we address them here on companion videos. And this is a companion video for Wednesday, July the 3rd. So these are the leftover questions from this morning's John Campea Show. So let's not waste any time and start getting caught up. And we're going to start getting caught up by starting off with Alpha, who writes, better voice, Peter Cullen or James Earl Jones? Eesh. I mean, look, Cullen has done some iconic animated characters, not the least of which obviously is Optimus Prime, but I've got to go with James Earl Jones. James Earl Jones's voice might be the greatest voice in the history of Hollywood. I'm not even just talking about Darth Vader. I mean, whenever you see him, even in something like Field of Dreams or whatever, when he talks, or Lion King, but when he speaks, the world trembles, right? So I love Peter Cullen as a voice actor overall, but if you're gonna ask me for the overall better voice, I'm gonna lean towards James Earl Jones myself. Courtney Haynes writes, to give us a glimmer of hope on this Flash fiasco, name the best movie you can think of that turned out okay despite vast amounts of pre-production drama. Well, you know, honestly, whenever I think about movies that have a lot of pre-production drama, but it ends out turning out to be pretty good, World War Z. Like, World War Z was a massive disaster. Massive disaster. I mean, they basically fired the director. They reshot 3/4 of the film. They cut entire stars out of the movie. It basically went through every bad thing it could go through, and it turned out to be a pretty damn good movie, and turned out to be a profitable movie. Another one that I would go to is Solo. I thought Solo was a really great, fun space adventure movie. It ended up losing money, but I mean, because it's a movie nobody ever wanted in the first place. But, you know, they get rid of the directors, they reshoot more than half the film, all this kind of stuff, and it turned out to be a pretty fun movie. But World War Z is normally the one I go to directly. That's a great example of one. So, hey, listen, it doesn't matter what happened before. All that matters is what happens now. What has gone on with all the drama thing, that is something that reflects on the studio. As far as the movie itself goes, it's starting from square one. They got a new screenwriter. They got a new director. Let's see what unfolds now. But yeah, there's hope. There's absolutely hope. Okay. Austin Church writes, showing my girlfriend, why would you show her the room? Showing my girlfriend the room with Tommy Wiseau for the first time. Can't wait for her to see the flower shop scene or let's be honest, any scene. Any scene in this movie, she will think is the most ridiculous thing she's ever seen in her life. But Jay, do this though, Austin. Make sure that you have a second movie ready to go as a double feature. Watch The Room and then have Disaster Artist ready to go as a special, double header. That is the perfect complement to that movie. I would recommend doing both at the same time. Have a lot of fun. All right. Kill the Cat Official writes, hey, John, I've been watching you since I was 15, and you I actually answered this one earlier today. Making a feature is what inspired me to produce film at 22. Thank you for inspiring. No, thank you, man. Thank you for watching since you're that age. And in case you missed it, I did answer that one on the main show a little bit earlier. But thank you again for that, Kill the Cat. Jermaine Sneed writes, surgery in a couple of hours. Eesh, but got to see Far From Home last night, Shazam for a post-surgery treat, then binging Stranger Things. Nice. Stranger Things drops like at midnight tonight or something, right? In either way, it's out tomorrow. I'm gonna have to binge that stuff myself. I might watch that whole damn thing in one sitting. I don't know for sure, but I do like me some not my favorite show of all time, but I really do like Stranger Things. I'm hearing nothing but good things about this particular season of, so I'm going to be binging it myself. And Shazam as a post-surgery treat is good. I love that movie. It's just so charming and delightful and whatever, and I just dig it so much. I think it's wonderful. So that's a good one, man. Glad you got to see Spider-Man before it. So you got a good thing going in, and you're going to have Shazam waiting for you. Is a good thing coming out. Sounds like a good plan, man, and good luck with your surgery, buddy. All right. Next up, Emilia, 1981 writes, I saw Rob Liefeld, Deadpool creator, is the latest among other creators to ask DCWB to hashtag release the Snyder Cut, except such a thing doesn't exist. Look, again, what does exist, I have no doubt, what does exist is that Zack Snyder shot everything, and in Zack Snyder's own word, he's got many cuts. He's got all the footage that he shot, and I'm sure he has many edits of his movie. Of that, I have no doubt. There's no question about that. I agree with that. What does not exist is a completed thing where Warner Brothers got got all the visual effects companies to do the tens and hundreds of millions of dollars of visual effects work on it, musically scored, ADR'd, sound effect, voice overed, color corrected, blah, blah, blah. There's not a finished product to release. It doesn't exist. That doesn't exist. A cut of the movie exists. Of that, I have no. Zack Snyder himself said many cuts. He has several cuts. Of that, I have no doubt. But finished, completed product that the studio completed and did all the work on, no. That doesn't exist. So if they're asking for WB to release the unfinished thing, sure, if you want, but Warner Brothers isn't going to do that, nor should they do that. If you're asking Warner Brothers to spend $50 million to complete, to take the cut that Zack Snyder did and then do all the tens of millions of dollars worth of finishing work on it, Warner Brothers ain't going to do that either because there's no frickin' point. So call for the Snyder cut all you want. It ain't coming because the true cut doesn't exist. An edit exists, true cut doesn't exist. Epic Berserker writes, yesterday, Headmaster quote was from Harry Potter Deathly Hallows Part 2. Thought you would have got it because you're Universal Potter. Those drones are epic. Oh, the drones are epic. And look, I've seen thousands of films. I'm not going to remember every quote from everyone, and I'm not a Potterhead. I like the Harry Potter movies. I do. I actually quite like a couple of them, but I am not by any stretch of the imagination a Potterhead. But oh my God, the Dark Arts light show at Hogwarts Castle at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter in Hollywood is stunning. And they do something with drones that is mind-boggling good. I don't want to give it away. Go see it if you can yourselves, but it's absolutely phenomenal. All right. Epic Berserker writes, you know what, guys, it's going to get loud in here, but it's hot in the valley today, so I'm already starting to sweat in here, even after just doing this for 6 minutes. So I'm going to turn on the AC to keep myself cool. Sorry for the noise, but hey, it is what it is. All right, let's see. Tom McKenzie writes, do you think if Shrek 3 and 4 lived up to 1 and 2, they could be considered a better quadrilogy than the Toy Story movies? I personally love Shrek 1 and 2. That's like saying, hey, if Hangover 2, 3, and 4 were as good as Hangover 1, would they be considered the greatest comedy franchise of all time? I mean, we can get into the ifs, ands, and buts. Couple of the Shrek movies are great, couple of them aren't. But for argument's sake, if Shrek 3 and 4 were on the level of 1 and 2, could they be considered a better quadrilogy than Toy Story? No. Because, sorry, I love the Shrek. If you've ever gone back to my old stuff, I love the Shrek film, particularly 2. I thought 2 was better than 1, and I loved 1. But since you're asking me, they are simply not in the same league as Toy Story 1 and 2. Toy Story 1 and 2 are both better films than both Shrek 1 and 2. And then 3, arguably, is the best of the franchise, so the Toy Story franchise just kept getting better. The Shrek films, hey, they would be so. Look, I still think of Shrek fondly. I still think of Shrek very positively and fondly. I love those movies, but they're not in the same league as Toy Story 2 or as Toy Story. Even if 2 or 3 and 4 were as good as 1 and 2, they still wouldn't be as good as the Toy Story films, in my opinion. It's all subjective, and if you feel different, nothing wrong with that. But since you're asking me, I'm just going to give you my honest answer on that. All right, let's see. Santez Henderson writes, Ray better cut Kylo's head off. I love Kylo, though. I like Kylo as a villain. You know, when I hear people complain, particularly Rob, he hates the Kylo Ren character. And I'm like, I agree with everything you're saying. And that's why I like him as a villain. But anyway, he hates that character. Yeah, I don't think Kylo comes out alive at the end of this film. I don't know that. I have no insider information on that. I don't think Kylo Ren survives Episode 9. I've been saying that forever, ever since the second film. I think this only ends one way, and that's with Kylo dying. So, and I think that's going to happen. I don't know if she's going to cut his head off, but she's going to kill him. Let's see. Cam Arm writes, have you seen other Iko Uwais films? The only films of him that I've seen are obviously the Raid movies. He appeared in Star Wars Force Awakens, and that terrible movie he did with Mark Wahlberg, Mile 22. Those are the films of his that I've seen. I know he's done a couple of others, but I'm not familiar with those ones. He's a damn eye magnet on screen, because when he's doing action, you're riveted on him when he's doing his stuff, which is great. But those are the only films of his that I've seen. Let's see. Ryan Lohner writes, I imagine at the WB offices bringing up the Flash now is like saying Voldemort's name, the movie that shall not be named. Yeah, it's a mess over there. It's a mess. But you know what? I've got a feeling that Daly and Goldstein, I think that's the name of the directors, I have a feeling they didn't just leave. I have a feeling they left. I'll tell you what, I have a feeling they may have left immediately when they let Ezra Miller take a crack at writing the script, which was a while ago. At that point, I don't see any self-respecting director staying, because that was the ultimate spit in the face. That was Warner Brothers and Ezra Miller spitting in the directors' faces. They were brought on, they were hired to direct, they wrote it, they said they had a vote of confidence from the studio, blah, blah, blah. But then Ezra Miller whined and complained, and they let him write his own version of the script, which is a monumentally idiotic thing for the studio to do. Idiotic, beyond words. And in doing so, they threw the directors under the bus, pissed on their feet, and then spit in their faces. There's no way I think they were around much longer than that. I have a feeling they very quickly departed after that, so I think they've been gone for a while. Hopefully now they've got new screenwriters. They got a new director on board, who was a good one, by the way. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Maybe everything will be righted now. Or maybe the drama will continue. We'll have to wait and see. Epic Berserker writes, I saw Spider-Man Far From Home last night, and it was very funny. The post scenes, everyone screamed and lost their minds, and the previews, Charlie's Angels, everyone booed. You know what's funny? I am very agnostic about the Charlie's Angels trailer. I thought it was cringy in some ways, has some promise in other ways. Overall, I'm totally in the middle on it, completely in the middle. I was surprised that when I watched Spider-Man Far From Home yesterday, I've seen it twice now, but when I saw it yesterday, there was actually some energy in the theater over the Charlie's Angels trailer, which surprises me. Because I would have expected more like a reaction that your theater got. And yeah, because I had already seen the movie, when the credits began rolling, I turned to Anna and I said, the whole audience is about to lose their minds. Hold on. And then, of course, the post-credit scene comes, which I'm not going to talk about. By the way, I should make this announcement. I had announced that we were going to do the Spider-Man Far From Home spoiler review on Sunday. I'm going to move it up a day. I'm going to move it up one day, and we're going to do it on Saturday. I'll put up a post about that so everybody knows. But we're going to move that up a day. We're going to do it on Saturday instead. So rewrite your schedules for that. Okay, here we go. Christian 301291 writes, hey, Chris. Well, Chris isn't here, unfortunately. What are your thoughts about Attack on Titan, especially Season 3? My wife and I are loving it. Love the channel. Thanks to every one of you. Well, thanks for ending, Christian. Unfortunately, Chris isn't here, but I believe she did talk about Attack on Titan earlier today in the show. So if you go back to the show earlier today, I believe we talked about Attack on Titan. I think she gave her thoughts on it there. But thank you for writing in, and thank you for asking a question specifically of Chris. It's going to make her feel welcome. Chris Parsons writes, was a reason ever given on why Swamp Thing ended? Well, I mean, like the official thing was there was a tax credit confusion. But see, the tax credit confusion doesn't explain why they canceled the show. The tax credit confusion explains why they cut the season short. That explains that, because they didn't have as much money as they thought. I get that. That's fine. But it doesn't explain why they just immediately jumped the gun and canceled the entire series. They had like 8-9 months to figure out something else, or to at least try to figure out something else. Instead, they just pulled the plug on the show. And no, an official reason has never been given, and I can't for the life of me understand that move. That was ridiculous in my opinion, but whatever. King of the Hills 34 writes, anyway, Robert can join. By the way, just put a space between anyway. Anyway, Robert can join Sunday for the spoiler talk? No, unfortunately, there's not. And by the way, once again, I'm going to move it to Saturday, so it's going to be Saturday, not on the Sunday. A New Mountaineer just sends in a super chat. Thank you, New Mountaineer. James O'Rourke writes, hey, John, here's my free super chat. Love you guys. Thank you so much, James. Thank you for using your free super chat to support the channel, man. Suthius writes, why is Warner Brothers even listening to Miller? I assume you mean Ezra Miller. Get rid of him if he's not on board. Or are they afraid of losing him for the upcoming Fantastic Beasts movie? Well, there are these little things called contracts. If Ezra Miller signed on, he can't just leave because he's unhappy with another movie. Listen, again, I don't know if it's true, and I don't know how reliable this particular source is, but I got told that Ezra's already out. I can't verify that, and I've not heard a lot of stuff from this particular source before, so I can't say that this is one I really trust. I don't know. I'm just saying I've heard he's out already, and I wouldn't be surprised. Because remember, the whole Ben Affleck thing. They denied he was out for almost 2 years before finally coming clean and letting everybody know he was out. He was out for years before they finally acknowledged it. He was out before he got on stage at Comic-Con and swore to everybody that he was still Batman. He was already out at that point. They just all lied. And I understand. I do. I get it. I'm not condemning them for it. I get it. That was the right thing to do. They needed to promote their movie. I get it, and I don't condemn them for it. I think it's understandable and probably the smart move. But that is their playbook. Somebody goes out, they don't talk about it. They just keep it quiet until they absolutely have to let it out that he's out. And I got a feeling that's what's going on with Ezra Miller. I don't know that for sure. I'm not saying I stand behind that because I don't. For all I know, maybe he is still attached. But I've heard he's already gone. And as much as I liked Ezra Miller's Flash, I do. I like Ezra Miller's Flash. I love him in the Fantastic Beasts movie. I'm a fan of Ezra Miller. But that being said, he needs to be out. He needs to be out. Like, he completely threw the directors under the bus. You should not give frickin' actors that kind of power. Toss him. And let him go and succeed in everything else he's going to do, because he's a damn good actor, and I like him still, but he should be out. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe he's still on board. Corey Harper sends in a couple super chats. Thank you, Corey. Appreciate that, man. Evelyn Horquera writes, also just sends a super chat. Thank you so much, Evelyn. JB Bonifacio writes, Ezra did a great job, but he's no Grant Gustin. Well, I mean, they're two different characters and two different types of things, right? The CW Flash is hardly high drama. I mean, let's just acknowledge it. I'm a big fan of The Flash. But let's not pretend like it's motion picture cinematic quality. CW stuff is a certain thing. Whether it's Supernatural, which you know I love. I love me some Supernatural. You know I love it. Flash, Arrow, Black Lightning, whatever. Let's not compare those two things. Grant Gustin is playing a very different Flash in a very different universe. So let's not compare those two. Evelyn writes, if Ezra is really out and the film is happening, will it be like the Batman and be totally separated from the universe? Love the show. Well, I mean, it's hard to say, Evelyn, because right now we don't know that first of all, we don't even know that Matt Reeves' Batman is completely separated from the rest of the universe. I think there are a number of things that suggest that, but I don't think there's been anything that 100% confirms that Matt Reeves' Batman is completely separated from the universe. And with The Flash, you don't even need to make it. If Ezra Miller's out, and we're not saying he is, but if Ezra Miller is out, you don't have to make it separate from the universe. Just recast it. Who cares? Just recast it. The most interesting parts are when he's going to be wearing a Flash mask anyway, so just recast it. You don't have to say it's a total separate universe or we're totally rebooting it just because you had to change actors. Who cares? Just change the actor and move on. That's what I think at any rate. Who knows what they're going to do? Warrington Trainspotter 2778 writes, bought a copy of my favorite spoof movie, Airplane. It's the best. Let's see. On Blu-ray, do you think a movie like that could be made again today? Love the show. I do. Here's the problem. Spoof movies used to be great. And people used to look forward to spoof movies. Whether you're talking about Airplanes or Spaceballs or Loaded Weapons or the one with Val Kilmer, whose name I keep forgetting, even though I love the movie, I keep forgetting the name of it. Spoof movies used to be great and they used to be celebrated. Robin Hood Men in Tights, they used to be great and they used to be celebrated. And then somebody figured out, hey, you can just be totally shitty at this job and still make spoof movies. Just make a lot of lowest common denominator, pop cultural reference jokes and poop jokes. And you got a movie. And a slew of these garbage spoof movies came out and completely ran the entire genre into the ground. I guess you can call spoof movies a genre, I suppose. But it ran it all into the ground. And eventually the public just gave up on them, understandably so. You could, from a content point of view, you could do Airplane today. But it would be challenging because there's such a stink of failure on spoof movies today that's why it would be challenging. Not because of the content, but because of the state of the genre run into the ground by a select few filmmakers. That would be the biggest challenge, I think. And Airplane's so good. Airplane's so good. Dan C. writes, has anyone seen The Art of Self-Defense? That's the one with Jesse Eisenberg. Jesse Eisenberg dark comedy could be good. I've heard good things about it. I have been invited to a couple of screenings of it, but I just never bothered, mostly because the screenings I've been invited to have been in Beverly Hills, and it takes me like an hour and 20 minutes to get to Beverly Hills from Burbank, even though it's only like 15 miles away. But I haven't seen it. It is interesting, though. It does look interesting, and I'm hearing decent things about it. Let's see. Dab Liz Station writes, do you think Netflix will eventually become the next MoviePass since they have a death wish with debt? P.S. Fold your damn clothes, young man. Why bother? I get along just fine without folding my clothes. Thank you very much. Anyway, Mom? No. Here's the big difference between MoviePass and Netflix. Netflix has a feasible business model, and Netflix has massive amounts of income. Yes, they're in debt, but they generate tons of money, and they have massive amounts of cash influx, even though they're in debt. So their financial health while in debt is still actually pretty good. Sustainable for 20 years? No, they're going to have to hit some milestones in that. But unlike MoviePass, which was sustainable for another 3 weeks, Netflix has massive amounts, a huge subscriber base with massive amounts of cash generation. So they will be fine. They will be fine. They're going to have to make changes to change this situation of how much of, spending more money than they're making, but they make so much money that they're going to be fine. So no, they have some challenges coming up. Universal streaming service, Warner Brothers streaming service, Disney Plus, on and on and on and on. They are going to face some stiff challenges in the near future, but they are in a much better position than like a MoviePass was. So, I would suggest that the situation, well, I totally understand the question. I would suggest that the two are in completely different situations. Tito Machado writes, just realized that the last great laugh out loud Jim Carrey movie was Fun with Dick and Jane 14 years ago. That movie was hilarious. I'll tell you what, I'm in the minority. I know I'm in the minority. I like the incredible Burt Wonderstone. Don't hate me. I get a kick out of it. Is it stupid? Yes. Is it one of the great Stephen Carell or Jim Carrey movies? No. But I gotta admit to you guys, I did laugh a lot. And Jim Carrey was hilarious in it. Jim Carrey, Olivia Wilde was great in it. Steve Buscemi was great in it. I got to admit, I did laugh a lot in that movie. So I'm not going to say it's the greatest comedy, but I thought it was pretty good, and I did laugh a lot at it. So I'm going to cast my vote in with the incredible Burt Wonderstone, even though I know a lot of people don't like it, and I get it, I do. But I'd be lying if I told you I didn't enjoy it. All right, final question today, and then we are all caught up. Comes to us from Liam Donaghy, who writes, any of you watch Ray Donovan or Billions? You must. I do watch Ray Donovan. I'm a big fan of it. I wasn't a huge fan of not this season that just happened, but the one prior to that, because it just felt like they were stuck on episode 1 the whole season. We find out his wife died, and the whole season it just felt like it never moved. You know what I mean? This past season got back to feeling like Ray Donovan to me, even though I would like to see him back in LA instead of New York, but whatever. It felt more like Ray Donovan to me. I'm a big fan of the show. I like the show. I'm a huge fan of Liev Schreiber. Billions is a show that looks incredibly like a show that I would like, but I've never gotten around to start watching it. One of these days I will have to do that because I like everybody involved and it looks really good and it looks like a show that would appeal to me, but I just never got around to it. But Ray Donovan, I have. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of our companion video, getting all caught up on the live questions you guys sent there. And by the way, thank you to all you guys who sent in the live questions, not just because you gave us fun stuff to talk about, but also because you supported the channel while you were doing it. And I thank you for that immensely. Hey guys, don't forget, tomorrow's the 4th of July because we still want to talk about movies together. So John Campea at tomorrow morning, the John Campea Show. Make sure you come and join us. We're going to talk movies and have all sorts of discussions. Come on back and join us then. That will do it for me, guys. Thank you so much for being here. My name is John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.